Hello everyone. So today we are here to talk about loops in Java. I'm Karthik Chavan and my group members are Niranjan, Harsha and Shivani. So first of all, Niranjan will be telling us what exactly the loop is.
So, introduction loops in Java. So, loops in Java allows executing a set of instructions repeatedly until a particular condition is met. They are essentially for optimizing code. Again, the loop contains several types. There are three types of loops in Java. So, first one is a for loop. Second one is a while loop. Third one is a do while loop. So, we will see for loop. This loop is ideal when you know the exact number of times you want the loop to run. It has three main components in a single line: initialization, like setting a counter, condition check before each iteration to decide if the loop should be continued or not, and update, which typically increments or modifies the counter. Example, iterating through an array with a known length. Side by side we have a syntax to write a for loop. So first we declare, just like we have said, we initialize, then we check the condition and then update the modifiers. So we have the output of that loop shown on your screen.
Now we will see the further type of the loop, that is while loop. In while loop, first initialization is done. After initialization, the condition is checked before the loop execution is started. If the condition is true, the loop will be continued, and if the condition will be false, then loop execution will be stopped. This is useful for cases like reading user input until a specific value is entered. So, this is a while loop. Now, we will see the third type of the loop is do while loop. In do while loop, like while loop, first initialization is done. After initialization, the loop execution will be started. The code inside the loop will run at least once a time because the condition is checked after executing the loop body. If the condition is true, then again loop execution will be continued, and if the condition is false, then loop execution will be stopped. This loop is helpful when you need a process to occur at least one time, such as displaying a menu in a program before checking if the user wants to continue or not. So, this is a do while loop.
Our next part is differences among these three loops, that is for loop, while loop and do while loop. So the first difference is initialization of loops. That is, in for loop, initialization of variable is done inside the loop header. But in while loop as well as in do while loop, we have to declare the variable before using that variable in that particular loop. That means we have to declare and initialize the variable before the execution of loop will be started. Then the next difference in loops is that in for loop and while loop, the condition will be checked at the starting of the loop. But in do while loop, the condition will be checked at the end of the loop. That means the loop will be executed at least once. After that, the condition will be checked. It doesn't matter that the condition is false or true, but the do while loop is executed at least once. After checking the condition, if the condition is true, then it will again execute the loop body. But if it is false, then it will break the loop and exit the loop. After that, the next is the execution part of the loop. The for loop and while loop executes the certain line of code written in it until the condition becomes false. The key difference between these two loops is that the for loop is used when the number of executions are known to us. That is, we already know that the loop will be executed for 10 times, 20 times as per our requirement in the program. However, the while loop is used when the number of executions are unknown until we meet the condition. Sometimes the execution of while loop becomes infinite also. The third one is the do while loop. The do while loop executes at least once before checking the conditions. Next is the main difference between these three loops is that their syntax structure. As we know, in for loop, initialization of variables, conditions, and increment decrement part are written inside the loop header. After that, the body of loop will be start. However, in while loop, only initialization of variable is in the loop header. That means we have to declare and initialize the variable before starting the loop. And in do while loop, the condition is checked after the initialization. That means the do while loop is executed at least once. So these are some different points of for loop, while loop, and do while loop. Basically, the loops are used to repeat same kind of statements or certain line of code again and again in our program. As we know, the for loop is used when the number of iterations are fixed. That means we already know that how many times we have to execute that particular loop. Next one is the while loop. While loop is used for condition based statements. That means if the condition is true, it will execute the loop, and if the condition becomes false, it will exit the loop. The last is do while loop. Do while loop is used when we have to execute our program at least once, even if the condition becomes false. So this is all about loops.
So now, I hope you are able to relate the concept of loops in Java. So that's it for this video. Please like, share and subscribe. Thank you.